Hi, this is Sue from the Mountain Canary Company. This is part 3 of how we rig our pack saddles. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Okay, I'll go. Thanks for coming by, folks. It's a real pleasure. Today is just going to be a potpourri of things that I mentioned but maybe didn't show that relate from the animals back up through the pack saddle and some of the odds and ends. For example, if you'll notice right here, this is what's called a slide. If you go through all the pack saddles back here, you're going to find that as time was gone on, I've gotten rid of more and more and more buckles. I don't like buckles up here. Buckles mean that I have to burn holes. I have to fiddle around with trying to get extra measurements. It's very, very difficult. In fact, I've done away with them just about completely. I've done away with them about completely. And all they are is a little piece of stainless steel. On this saddle, I originally, and some of the other saddles I originally was using a slide made out of manganese bronze. The price went out of sight, almost $4 a piece for one of these things. So at that point, the convenience of using them went out the window too, and all burn holes. But these dropped way, way down as they're punched stainless steel. Get them from Weaver Leather Company, and they're very, very handy. But there's a trick using them, and I'll show you this trick right now. Now, the first thing you do is to find the strap you're going to use. I just grabbed a piece of strap over there off the wall, and you take it and you feed it. Can you get this, Sue?
Okay.
You feed it through your slide.
Wait. I lost.
Just feed it right through the slide, from the top to the bottom, over the top of everything. Okay, now leave yourself quite a bit of loop there and hold it down so you don't lose it. Then you take the running end of it and go around, we'll say, this ring of the britchin. Give myself a little more working room here. Okay, bring it around the ring of your britchin, bring it back. Now, if you'll notice from the side here, what people like to do with these slides is they like to go over and over again, and that would put it on the top. But that's wrong. That sucker at that point under tension will slide out on you. It'll be a real slide. Okay, what you do in this case is to set these up. You can make yourself a loop here. Can you see that okay, Sue?
Yes.
Okay. And you bring it in from the back. Well, you go up. You see how we're set here now? You go to the top of the slide, where this one's running out of, and you run it through, back through it. Okay, like this. Okay, see how I've run it through there? This is the britchin ring, or whatever you're hooking it to. Now you turn this back around, and now you go through the back side of this one. I know you got my fingers in the way, but go through the back side of this one, and it looks like this then. You see? Now we're still leaning over to the britchin D. This is going off to the running end of it. And we've got it set up like this. In other words, instead of going up, over, and through the top, we go through the bottom in the center, through the top one, and come back down through the bottom one. Now when that locks in, like this, and it's pulled tight, you can see how this then reverses the pull. You got that, Sue?
Yes.
Okay, reverses the pull from across the top to now up, around, and back down. So now this is going nowhere. And if you have moments in the middle of the night when you're trying to sleep and things go bump and you're concerned that could get loose, take a needle with a piece of thread, put it through and tie a knot. It's going nowhere. These are pretty much married together. I'm going to step up for just a second and reach over here. Should have grabbed another training aid. I did. Okay, the real value in these to me is that when you punch holes in a strap you have to be very, very careful that you get, most everything on a pack saddle's got a like strap on the other side. So what you have to do then is you have to measure exact measurements when you lay that out and burn exactly. And so the buckle, it has to be sewed in exactly the same. Everything is almost microscopic. But with slides, you take your tape measure, lay it out to the distance, and just adjust the slide. Now, you don't have to worry about holes being burned at 1.5 inch increments or 2 inch increments or whatever you wish to burn them at. Most rigging is burned or punched at 1.5 inch rigging. That's the industry standard, 1.5 inch. So if you notice on your halters, 1.5 inch. On all your other strapping, usually 1.5 inch. So this can be set up into infinitely. So you got to remember that you're going to need this critter, one of these critters, with you get about a 36 inch. You figure your longest strap and cut it off. Swat it up and sit in your fork bag or in your one in your saddlebag, and you can infinite measure, or in a pinch, piece of string, simple little piece of string. You can get the exact same measurements. Sue set several of these up on a string with string. But once we went to this system, we can get our rigging set up exactly opposite to opposite. Before that, we're chasing it 1.5 inches. Now, okay, we're almost there. We almost got, it's like, it's a tweener. But one side has to take the hole, and this is with a tweener. Well, this way we just adjust it. There it is. Simple, quick, easy, no fuss, and you don't miss it. You get it every time. So that's how we set up our simple little slides that have been, I buy mine from Weaver Leather. The one tricky thing you have to remember is, one time I saw some of these online on Amazon. I said, "Oh, what a good idea!" They were cheaper than what I get at Weaver, and they were quick delivery. I bought a bunch, about 25 or 100 of them. Came to find out that my strapping that I use is thicker. So you want to kind of be able to the strapping from Weaver I use is heavy duty strapping. It's this stuff is 4,000 breaking strength. You're never going to break it on this job, and so we have to be able to get the straps that are thick enough so that they fit. In other words, this has to be big enough for the wider stuff. You can buy some which are very narrow, and I don't know where to get that narrow webbing. So I just said, oops, made a mistake. Okay, let's move on. Another thing is, what I didn't show you guys was Augusta. I told you about gust tugs, where they go through from the back to the front to make up for by chance an animal all of a sudden that you've made a mistake and you're rigging up, and in the middle of all of it, the cinch moves forward, starts galling them. I was coming off a switchback up on Duckabush, serious heavy duty switchbacks. Coming off the switchback, and I looked up, and right above me was one of the critters, and it had a big pink spot. I could see up, big pink spot, right in front of the cinch, and I could see it was galling him. Oh my, that's an awful feeling. There's not much you can do. I still had 4 miles or so to go. I could try to pull things back, but it wasn't going to work for me where I was. I couldn't even stop. It was so tight. So I've come up since then with what I call a gust tug. Now, this is what I call, this is 2 of these are made up for an animal. Okay, you hook this to the breeching. This will then reach up and catch the front cinch. You can adjust it a little more than the normal tug you would lead to that one. It's hard to explain why this works so well, but how you make it is just need a snap that'll go around the 3-inch ring, a slide set up on this where it can be adjusted from front to back, off your breeching to the front, and this one I put a square on so I could just dip this through it around the britchin. But in reality, the same knot that I showed you how to make in the article, leather versus nylon rigging, the knot I showed you how you twist the latigo. You do the same thing. You twist this lower down, and you've got this real neat, and you just lead this back through, and you don't need this piece of hardware. So what happens is the animals are sloped. If you're looking down on them, they're sloped like it look like a light bulb. Well, when you put that girth on, many cases, even if you keep making it narrower and narrower and narrower, it still wants to go forward on some of them. Or on some that I've had to make real narrow girths for, I don't want to mess with it. I just put a gust tug on. What it does is because the animal side is sloping forward, and that girth comes against it, the ring will still lead perpendicular to the pack saddle ring, but this corner then is slightly pulled back and slightly lays, instead of having it laid, trying to go flat up their side, you anchor it so it can't go, it stays on the same parallel to the slope of their side. These things are great. I always have, even if I'm not using one, I always make sure there's a couple of them in the pack string being carried around by another pack saddle, just in case something comes up and I can go back to grab one and put it on. So these are just they're a tool that really works well. Okay, and the third thing I want to show you is a foam pad. This is a simple, cheap foam rubber pad. I think this cost me, when I bought them all up, I think this was, about $12 or $13 by the time I cut the pieces and cut it to fit. And I normally take, what I do is I measure it the length of the pack saddle pad, and when I put it on, I put it just, see I got a line up here in the front. I got two lines, one right down the middle, so when I put it on the back, I know I got it lined up. Second is a line across the top, and I marked FWD for forward, so don't get it mixed up. Put that on and run my pack saddle pad about to this line, this edge of it, the front edge. That means that this edge will be slightly forward of this edge here, which will cause this to set just slightly, ever so slightly higher than this one. So that helps to avoid that hip rub. You'll see it back there, a big slime line on the back of your animal's back, on the hip. This will attempt to lift it slightly up, that much further up in the back here, but you got plenty of room, and will help to lift it up. Second thing it does is, this stuff is so breathable, it's unbelievable. You can blow right through it. Now, it's amazing. It's really amazing stuff. I've been using it for, forever. Just forever. I'm not going to go numbers for you. But it works wonderful. It'll work under a riding saddle. Don't go more than, I would suggest you don't go more than an inch thick. You start building the thicknesses of this up, you start adding stability to the saddle. And what happens is, to get this area around here to compress, the saddle to compress into it, you have to put up far more pressure on the girth. I call it sternum pressure. You're cranking down here now, pulling that up, and it probably isn't the best thing. I've started, I'll tell you a story how that goes. Years ago, I knew a packer up in British Columbia real well, and he was on an expedition for himself, and he went down Southern California, and he packed the Pacific Crest Trail in one season all the way from California to British Columbia with 2 pack animals and a horse. Well, 2 pack horses and his riding horse. And he got to Weed, which is, probably, I'd say close to, just a little, probably past, or right around halfway, it's close. So he started to get puffs on the back of his animals. He was concerned. Now, puffs mean that there's swollen spots that necessarily don't go down. They stay fluid filled. They're a pressure point where fluid fills into them. And they're the first step of a real roaring saddle sore. Bust open, bleeding, and so forth. So he got to Weed. He said he stopped at a ranger station there and asked if he could camp there for the night. And they said, well, you have to wait till the ranger comes back. And the ranger came back and he said, hey, yeah, kid, come on up to supper. So he took him up to supper, and Jim at the time was telling the ranger that he was having problems, and he was about to just pull off and call home and get a trailer brought down and bring his animals up because he wasn't going to rip them up. So he said, oh, don't worry, I'll show you how to get through that. Happened to be the ranger, as in many of those cases a few years back, the old-time rangers around were also been packers. I'll show you how to fix that. So after supper, they went out to the bunkhouse, and he grabbed one of our government-owned 3-inch mattresses. And he took it apart and cut it up. He said, here, put one of these under each one of your pack saddles. You won't have a problem. And Jim says, huh? Wait a minute. He says, yeah, I've been doing this for years. So he, wool. We should have wool under there. This is not good. Yeah, what are you talking about? Okay. It was Jim's choice. Figure I could stop a little way further down the trail if it doesn't work. He went all the way home. No puffs, no bleeding sores, and the backs looked beautiful when he got home. He did have white spots come, like shed out, but they were gone in the spring. So that worked, but 3 inches were too strong. So he told me about it. So I came back, I got some foam rubber, and I went, 3 inches, I don't know, that's kind of more than I think I want. I went and got 2 inches. That was still too much. My saddle still tended to be wobbly if I didn't have the thing cutting them in half. So I played around until I got down to 1 inch. And there was the magic number. If you put this foam underneath this pad, and I think it's in number 2 where I'm pushing on it, and you get really good compression, and this is a 1-inch pad. I wouldn't go less than that on a pack saddle pad. You put that 1-inch pad and this 1 inch underneath, and you push on that pad, and you still push down into this. Now that means that anything in your load that's lumpy, bumpy, or uncomfortable, say in a mani or a soft bag, if I have a spot next to the animal's body, isn't going to be as aggressive as if it would have been just against the pad. This gives a lot of cush, absorbs a lot of discomfort and a lot of misshaping things. I'm not going to say it helps with a saddle fit. Jury's still out on that. But I'll tell you, I have right up there, I have a pile of them, brand new ones. I threw the old ones away finally. It was the 3rd, 4th batch I've made. And they really, really work well. I believe, I just swear by them. I have not had a saddle sore in a pack mule since I've had these on. Down in Arizona, a lot of cowboys down there in the heat ride with these in the form of egg crepe. This goes on directly against the animal skin. No problems, no discomfort, no disease, nothing. These are great. It's really this is a moneymaker, guys. Don't go home. Don't leave home without them. Okay, now let me think. I think I've pretty much covered most of the stuff that I wanted to touch base with you all on. It doesn't hurt to carry a bell. I put an article out in YouTube's. I can't remember what number it was, but about bells. They really work. So it's been a real pleasure talking to you about this. We've got some interesting things planned for you in the future. I'm going to be doing more of these. This will be number 50. So I'm glad you could all come by and visit. Don't hesitate to do it again. We're looking forward to seeing you. But as always, I wish you would please ride as often as you can, keeping those trails open. Those horse turds and horseshoe marks on the trail is your way of doing it. And the second thing is, please, when you go out there, please be safe. I want you all back here again. Thank you very much, folks.